So I've wanted to make this video for quite a while now. I just never really made myself actually do it. And recently I've been contemplating, like reflecting on kind of my past a lot. There's just these random moments where I'll just start zoning out and then I'll just think back to my past and I just sometimes think how amazing it is how far I've come to where I am today, and I feel like there's just so many thoughts going around in my head right now and I just want to share them with you guys. So, I think just to give you guys some background, I was born in China originally, and my family and I came to the US as immigrants in 2015. So, it's been a little more than a decade now. When I think about it, it's absolutely crazy. I think time just, in a way, it just flashes by. Like, it goes by so fast. You're not really aware of it going by because it's just like day to day. You wake up, you go to school, you eat, you go have fun with your friends. It's just so natural in so many ways. And each day just goes by like that. And then when the days add up, the months, and then comes the years, and then I think I just remember back to when I was just 5 years old, a little girl, and I went to my first day of first grade in elementary school. And back then, I did not speak a single word of English. And besides, like, knowing the vowels and the consonants and, like, very, very simple words, I basically had no range of vocabulary, nothing like that at all. And I just kind of found my way in. I just started making friends and I just started learning in very natural way because I was just surrounded by the environment everywhere I went. And so because of that, I think that's also just a major reason why I think my English has gotten so much better over the years very fast because part of like going to a new country, and it's the same for any language really, when you are in that environment, when you're so immersed in the culture and the society, I think from there it's so much easier to actually try to assimilate into wherever it is because everywhere you go it's just that same culture that's repeatedly over and over again. It's that dominant culture, and that eventually it just makes you kind of turn into that over time. And so growing up, I was also constantly faced with this pressure from my parents and my grandparents of you have to be the top student, you have to get all straight A's and ace all of your tests, spend all your time studying, doing homework, doing extracurriculum stuff that was not really part of school, but they believed doing the extra, like reading workbooks, math workbooks, they would all be beneficial to me. And it was exactly what I had to do in order to be the definition of like a successful student in their eyes. And so I listened to them because I think at that time I didn't really have my own sense of thinking. I was basically just listening to everything they said because when you're in that in that age group where it's like you are starting to have your own thoughts, but for the most part, you're still listening to what your parents and your the people who are older than you are telling you to do. That's just kind of what you do. Like you follow the things based off of what they say, and you think that they are right. And so that's what I did for up until like elementary to I want to say like 7th grade in middle school. And towards like 8th grade, I think I was starting to be like, okay, maybe I think I was like also kind of burning out because besides like vacations and stuff, which my parents and my family and we would do whenever we had like summer break or we had winter like spring break, everything else it was just so focused on studying. I felt like I also didn't really have much of a social life. I had a few friends and I would just hang out with them every once in a while, but those were things that maybe happen like 3 times a year. And for me, like everyone around me, especially like the popular kids, or like And I feel like everyone around me just had so much more things going on, and I was just constantly at home doing the same things like over and over again. And for me, I just started to feel w- like this feeling of why am I forced to have to do all of this, and is this even going to be worth it in the end? And so what I kind of starting to think now is that obviously as a sophomore in high school, now like grades are obviously not the only thing that matters, but I think it's just this huge misconception that there is in Asian households where it's like grades are the only things that matter. And they would just emphasize that so much. And part of me, like, it pained me because it was like I wanted to be like my friends and like other people when they didn't have to worry so much about school and everything else, and I just had to keep doing it. And the truth is, like, in today's society, in today's world, that's very much not enough. And the reason is because grades speak about you, but they don't tell your whole story. So, they can give you the side of like a very smart, very academic bound kind of person, but they don't make you different from someone else. In a sense, if someone else also had the exact same grades as you did, then what makes you different from the other person? And so I think that side of me was something that was lost in my years of growing up because I was in this Asian household. I came from China. My parents, as well, they grew up having to work really, really hard in school just to get into a good college. And the thing is, I also don't blame them for this, for making me have to, I guess, work in a way, devote so much of my time to studying when I could have been doing other things because each generation, they have different values and beliefs, just like my grandparents have very different beliefs from my mom and my dad. And so I think that at the end of the day, they are trying to do what's best for me, and that in the long run is, going to, I guess, benefit me in some ways, but in other ways as well, I think I have to go on, try and find my own path, and then learn from the things I do, my mistakes, and kind of go on from there. Because in the end, I feel like parents, they can only help you so much. And until when you reach that point where like they kind of can no longer help you, it's kind of to you to figure out where to go and how to truly like chase that like next level of success. And so, last thing, I think another thing that I just think it's something that has I've struggled with for a really long time is this feeling of like missing home. And I say this because every time I go back to China over the summer, me and my family, we try to do this every year for summer during vacation because our grandparents live there and we just have so many family who also live there. We try to go back because obviously we have the family there, family, friends, all of that stuff. And also just because I think part of me also misses my home growing up so much as well. It's like this sense of familiarity that you can't really get anywhere else. Like, even though I've lived in the US for, I want to say, a little more than like a decade now, I just still sometimes feel like that I would just want to live in China again. And I want to go back to those very familiar streets I was running off, I was running on as a kid, and those like, those places where they sell food by the sidewalks. You just go in, get some noodles, and me and my mom, we would just go. And from our apartment, there was a shopping mall like 3 blocks down. We would just walk there every single week on Saturdays, and I think I would go to the arcade with my mom. We would play a bunch of these games. I would, just have the best time of my life. Honestly, when I just had nothing to worry about. No stress, no sense of like, okay, I have to do this next. No like anticipation of anything that's needed to happen next. Like school wasn't any of my worries at all. I think those moments of my life, I think were truly just so precious to me, and I didn't value them enough because I think at that moment, like, I didn't have a sense of what the aspect of time actually was. I kind of just lived every day. Like, I had infinite numbers of days. I think that I think being living in China growing up, it just created this sense of like home, the sense of familiarness. And I don't think anything quite literally can beat that feeling where every time I go back, it just gives me this great amount of nostalgia. It's like, finally, I'm home. I can go to all these places again. And everywhere I go, it's like, it's feels the same, but at the same time, it just looks so different because of how much has changed over the years since I was gone. And so I also just always think about what would things look like now had I just never came to the US in the first place. Like I always just think about like what would things look like now if I just never came to the US in the first place? If I just still happened to live in China, would I even be making this video right now? And I guess not, because I would have never gained the insights to everything I'm saying now. I think that overall, like, that feeling of missing your home and that feeling of identity and culture, that's something that's always like been a battle on the inside for me. I truly didn't know whether I should embrace my Chinese side or if I should embrace my American side because they're both equally as important to me, but in certain aspects, it's like sometimes I want to forget about one and I just want to focus on being American. And then the other times, as I mentioned before, I just feel like China is the only real home for me where I feel like I actually know everything everywhere I go. It's just the language, the places, how things work, the transportation. It's like it's all so familiar to me. And so I think that's also one of the biggest challenges for me. Aside from the more basic ones, not basic, but the more like straightforward ones like school and just dealing with people in general and like kind of like thinking about the future as well. But I think also just finally for me, I just think being like where I am now, it's just I'm truly grateful for the experience and for my parents who brought me here and to let me experience all of America. And I think it's truly amazing because it has opened my eyes so much to the extent where I think if I were to just live in China and the experiences that I've gained over these years, I would be just like everyone else in China, kind of like in the school, stuck in the school system where you need to get good grades in order to go to a good college, right? Like grades are the only thing that really matters. The exam, the Gaokao exam as well. Um, and I would think if I had to choose, I would much rather choose this kind of freedom where I can embrace and truly chase after the things that are a passion to me and make those things great alongside with my school and my academics rather than solely focusing on academics because when you solely focus on academics in my opinion I think it just narrows your whole entire mindset like into like a small little box where you can't really go outside of the lines because you're just forced to stay within those lines. And so because of that, I'm super grateful for where I am today. And I feel like no amount of um I just think that to be where I am, like to have such eye-opening experiences. And I just hope to be able to like utilize what I know now and try to become better and obviously improve as myself, as a person in the future and just yeah, just embrace who I am, both sides of me, because at the end of the day, that's who I am. I don't have to just be one person, I can be two. as well, I can embrace both sides of who I am, where I come from, and my identity. And I think that doing so is truly something that's valuable. So I hope, and for any of you guys who may relate to me, I hope this video was helpful with the insights and it provided you maybe with a new way, or maybe it just provided you with some familiarity with similar thoughts that you might be having. And I think this was also a very good reflection for me as well. Making this kind of video definitely forces me to think a lot about what I've learned over the years. And yeah, so I think truly just learning to embrace both sides of who you are is a very difficult and long process. But I think once you do it, I think that's where a lot, the true you can come out, the real potential that you may hold are starting to uh, branch out based off of that. Because when you just know yourself better, you can truly utilize the things that are an advantage, serve an advantage to you, and use those things to better yourself and to improve yourself as a person and make yourself more successful in the future.